All right, guys, welcome back in the shop here for another one of you guys' favorites, me sitting here talking and not doing anything. But anyways, I kind of like to go down and do a breakdown video after each one of the events we do on how everybody's vehicles did, just because I don't like to jumble up the footage from an event with a bunch of me talking. So I kind of like to separate them out now. I'm trying that for a little bit and we'll see how it works. But anyways, a brief summary on everybody else before we jump into mine with a pass-by-pass breakdown kind of deal. So as you saw in the last minute Truck Wars prep video that I posted a couple weeks ago, that one we actually put an anteater on Trevor's truck the night before Truck Wars. We've never messed with any kind of transmission controllers before, so we were kind of winging it. We went out and did some test hits. We thought we were on the right track. He was also having some issues with pump surge, and the truck would essentially try to run away. You could, ride the brakes, it would slow it back down. But we were kind of trying to work with what we had with the limited amount of time that we had. And went out to Truck Wars. He made one pass, and it started to hang first gear, so he let out of it. And when he did, the truck kept accelerating. So he jammed the brakes to slow it down. When he got to the other end of the track, heard a hellacious knocking noise. Rushed it back to the pit, shut the truck off. Oil pressure was still fine and everything. But anyways, went to investigating and found the converter bolts had backed out. Not exactly sure why they backed out. We did the same sequence we do with all the other trucks. The bolts were put in one at a time, hand tight so that we could get them all aligned. They were all torqued. They all had red Loctite on them. It was a fresh converter, so there shouldn't have been any trash in the threads. I mean, we didn't go through and clean them out, but it was a fresh converter when we started. So not sure what exactly happened, but regardless, everything's out of the truck now, going through and got a new flex plate for it. Got cleaned out the holes in the converter and gonna get all that situated and put back together, and then we will regroup. But anyways, the truck was on a pretty good pass. It just couldn't finish it out. So hopefully it may be a little while because we're doing some other changes to the truck, but hopefully next time out at the track, that one is gonna finally start working towards the number that it's capable of running. AJ's truck, he had some issues with spooling the truck up. We even put a spool jet on it, and not sure what happened, but in the pits, the truck would spool up decent, got up to the line, and the truck wouldn't spool. So I don't know if nerves were getting him, if the truck having a little more heat in it was the problem. I don't know what the deal was. If you weren't there, pretty much anybody will tell you it was insanely hot. It was, I want to say it was like 102 or 103 degree heat index. And this North Carolina heat is different than anywhere else I've ever seen because it's extremely humid. So everybody was having, I'm not going to say spooling issues, but everybody was taking longer to spool. You could tell in videos, even my truck was smokier than it normally is. So I actually ended up having to run my truck different than I ever have before, which we'll get into in a minute. But I don't know, all of that probably came into play and ended up fighting him, and he was never able to get a good pass. Connor's truck ended up with the same issue pretty much. His truck has been having spooling issues anyways. That compounded with the heat, and then he actually, the week before Truck Wars, started having a converter issue and was going to try to run through it anyways and then send it out after Truck Wars, and it didn't happen. The truck wouldn't spool, and it was more or less a waste of time, but hopefully get a new converter in it and he'll be able to go out and enjoy the truck finally. Tim's truck was out for its, I guess you say, debut pass. First time ever taking it down the track. First time ever launching the truck. It was Tim's first time down a track in, I don't know, 10 years probably. So we weren't exactly sure how the truck was going to respond, but we had talked with Levon. We got the staging limiter set up on somewhere around 24 pounds, I believe. And he ran the truck on the same tune that it was dynoed on at their dyno when they tuned it, which is somewhere around 1,250 horsepower on their dyno. But anyways, ran it on that, and it was way too soft of a launch. Like I said, it was really humid that day, so it may not have even been up to 24 pounds. It was probably somewhere more around 18 or 20. And it left easy. It was somewhere around a 170-ish 60 foot. And went like a 7.0 at 105 maybe, somewhere in that range. Anyways, way slower than it has the capability of running. But we came back, and, Tim said that his nerves might have got him, didn't do everything exactly how he should. He was going to try it again one more time. And if it didn't leave any better that time, then we would stop using the limiter, just go back to foot braking it, getting it up to where it needed to be, and launch it and try to get a good 60 foot and a good pass. He came back up the next time. Not sure what exactly happened, but I guess he didn't use the staging limiter or whatever, and had an accident where the truck ended up going straight to the rev limiter at 5,500 RPMs and went over 50 pounds of boost on the line for a couple seconds, and had a transmission issue. So not exactly sure what we got going on. We've pulled the trans out. He's got the trans back and apart. He's replacing some stuff in it, and he sent the converter out just to get it checked, just to be safe. But when we get it back, we're putting it back together. We may end up doing a different turbo on it, try to get a little bit more airflow to it to kind of get over that 1250 number. We'll see. But anyways, we'll have it back at the track in a few weeks probably, and we will give it a shot. One of our buddies, Brent, he's got the black 3rd gen we had in the shop here that had the hood stack. We serviced the trans on a few weeks back. He had his truck out there. He ran it, got a new personal best. It has a fresh TRE trans in it now. And it was somewhere down in the 730s. He's got a really small fuel setup with a 72 or 75. I can't remember his air. But anyways, he got down somewhere in the 730s, beat his previous personal best. And not only did he do that, he also was able to go rounds in 770, I believe. So he's getting used to the truck and getting it down the track, making rounds. So he's making progress, so that's good. But more on to other things. Dad bod here. So we went out to Truck Wars. This new DPC converter that's in it, it feels fine, as all of the other DPC converters have that I've ever put in the truck, and every other truck I've owned actually. I've never had a converter issue. When I switched to a quad disc in the last truck, it made a rattling sound, kind of resembles a dual disc clutch in a stick shift application. But anyways, we put the new triple disc in this truck, and it rattles similar to a quad disc. Not sure why this one does it and the last few I've had didn't, but kind of had me nervous. So I went into Truck Wars, and you know, I'm confident in the truck. The truck always does its job. Normally, if I lose, it's 100% driver error. So the only concern I really had was if there may be a converter issue. So we went out there hoping for the best, and things worked out decent. So I'm going to read through the time slips and try to remember my best, who I was racing in each one, and try to include a video. So hopefully I don't get any of them mixed up. But anyways, I had sworn going into this event that I would never double class again. I did it at last Truck Wars, and by the end of the night, if you recall, I made it to the finals in both races. I ended up winning ET, and I lost in 670. And by the end of the night, the trans was getting warm. It was trying to push a little fluid out of the dipstick. Truck was getting hot, but we were literally hot lapping. I think I made like 8 passes back to back. And this truck just has the factory trans cooler up front. No heat exchanger on the block, no auxiliary trans coolers, no aftermarket fans, just the way God intended it, I guess you'd say. And so by the end of the night, it was hot. Going into this race, I had said I wasn't going to do that again. But then Mark up at BHFR, I believe is the name of his business. Anyways, they threw a $1,000 kicker on top of 670 index. And so I was like, well, if I could just make it to the semifinals in one of the 2 classes, I've made money, because I want to say semifinals was $200 or $250. $20 buy-in in each class. Why not give it a shot? So I ended up double classing yet again. So we went in Q1 of 670. We were lined up with our buddy Colin, who has the white Duramax. Went into that pass. The truck did okay. It left kind of easy. We did a 159 60 foot, so it wasn't terrible. But my 0.09 reaction time, and the truck went 685 at almost 103. So right on par with what it normally does. It was a little bit slow, but like I said, it was over 100 degrees. So I kind of expected that. But anyways, we were right on par with where we needed to be. So we were happy with the truck. I figured I'd go ahead and run it one more time and see how it did. And I had intentions of just not running the second round of qualifying. In Q1 of ET, I ended up running against a silver Cummins, I believe. Reaction time got a little bit better, got an 06 reaction time. The 60 foot slowed down a good bit, did a 166. And I went 699 at 102, 103, whatever. And so that was really out of the norm for the truck. But as I said, it was getting even hotter at this point of the day. And that 60 foot was really what was tripping me, because the truck was not spinning. It was just leaving really easy. So I didn't know if I had a boost leak issue or a trans issue. Didn't know what the deal was, but the truck just wasn't making power off the hit. After that run, I knew I needed to go ahead and run it one more time, because that definitely wasn't going to cut it for 670. So I needed to go and figure out what the heck was going on with the truck. I ended up getting a buy run, I guess you would say, in Q2 of 670. And again, the truck did a 161 60 foot, which was a little bit better, but it was slower than my norm, and went 695 mile an hour, still exactly the same as it had been. So 60 foot wasn't where it needed to be, and I knew I needed to make a change. So we went back to the pits. I spooled the truck up on the limiter again, and I saw that it was only getting me to 24 pounds of boost. If you recall, I've talked about it before. The way that I always run this truck, I leave at 30 pounds every pass. And that just seems, the truck seems to be happy. It may slip the tire just a little bit on the hit, but it'll give me a mid 150, 60 foot, and it'll run into 670s almost every pass. So I guess between the heat and the humidity, that RPM just was not getting me the amount of boost that I needed. So I knew I needed to go back again for Q2 of ET to be able to get one more hit and run it without the limiter and see where it got me. So Q2 of ET, I was lined up with, I believe it was a white F-150 that had the small power stroke motor in it, which actually was pretty surprising. The truck rode out pretty good. I think he ended up going a 930. So, I mean, for that little of a motor and a full-size truck, it ran pretty good. But anyways, on that one, I left without the limiter, got it up to 30 pounds where I wanted to be, and the truck did a 156 60 foot, which is what I wanted, but this truck was still a little bit slow. It went a 683. So I was not happy with that. I knew that, you know, there was some guys in the 670 class that were really gonna give me a run for my money, and a 683 probably was not gonna get the job done. So I had to do something I had never done before. Had to turn the truck up to tune 4. I always, you know, people make the joke, you know, not even tune 5. God's honest truth, the truck never leaves tune 3 on the track. I drive it on the street on tune 1, and anytime it goes to the track and I run, I put it on tune 3, and I run it there every time. But with the heat of the day, I knew I needed to crank it up to get the truck to make the power it needed. So I went to tune 4 to give it a shot going into Eliminations round 1, which sucks because if I'd have figured out the limiter issue earlier, I could have tried it on tune 4 in qualifying to see what the truck did. But going into Eliminations, I had to try it and just hope that the truck wouldn't break out. So going into first round Eliminations of 670, I was lined up with a red Duramax. Can't remember the guy's name, but tagged him in the original Truck Wars post I made. But anyways, in that one, I was able to kill it on the tree versus his time. Wasn't my best reaction time, but it was pretty good. I did a 070 reaction time. Still 159 60 foot. Wasn't great, but better than what it had been doing earlier. And I ended up riding the brakes pretty hard at the end. Slowed down to 95 miles an hour, went at 696. So just enough to kind of clip him out at the end and ride to a win on that pass. All right, first round of Eliminations in ET. Like I said, I was hoping to be able to go rounds in all of the classes, but of course, first round, I line up beside no other than Robbie Dowdy in the Trailblazer SS. If you guys aren't already, swing over, check out his YouTube channel. It's Coastal Racecraft, but he's doing some really neat stuff. He's getting ready to shoot for the only cam record, I believe, in that SS he's got. So swing by and check out the stuff he's doing. It's pretty neat to watch. He's a really cool dude. So anyways, when we pulled up to the lanes, Buddy was standing up there in the staging lanes, kind of helping navigate people. And when I pulled up, he was trying to steer me over. Somebody had an axle dump exhaust ahead of me, and the truck smoked terrible. And you could literally see footprints on the track where they had dumped soot all over the starting line. So he kind of tried to steer me the best he could to the most clear spot, but it ended up not helping me. We launched the truck. Robbie was on a 770 dial and I was on 670. I ended up treeing him pretty good. I don't know what he had going on because normally he cuts a good light, but did about normal for today at 070 reaction time. But the truck spun terrible. It did like a 179 60 foot. And I was running Robbie down, but at the very end, I didn't quite have enough because I was off my number and he went 772 on a 770 dial in. I just didn't have enough. So that ended my night early in ET. But luckily we still had 670 to play in and try to make our money back for the night. So going into Eliminations round 2, I was lining up with my buddy Dom. He's got the freaking nasty first gen with the humongous slicks and the big compounds and all the horsepower. And I knew that he was gonna be blowing my doors off. My only chance was to try to tree him, run my number, and hope that he broke out running against me. And that's essentially what happened. I cut a decent light. It was a 090, so again, not what I'm shooting for, but it wasn't terrible. It was pretty good compared to his. Did a 155 60 foot, so right on par. And the truck went 679 with me kind of riding the brakes just a little bit at the end. So anyways, we edged out a win on him, and that put us on into Eliminations round 3. So in Eliminations round 3, we were lined up with our buddy Drew. He's the one that was up here the night before Truck Wars that we helped him out with a hood stack. Anyways, don't really know what happened here, but my reaction time freaking sucked. I was down at a 0.11 reaction time. So I don't know what was going on with me, but killed it there. The truck did a 156 60 foot, so again, on par with how it's been doing. And I tapped the brakes a bit at the other end and went 684 at 95. So down almost 10 mile an hour. But anyways, it was enough to push us into the finals of 670. So in the finals, we ended up getting lined up with our good buddy Brent, another fellow Dumpster Performance member. He's got a stock LB7 with a healthy dose of nitrous. It also has a 4L80 in it from Twisted Diesel. Essentially the Buddy Callaway Dumpster Performance Special setup. And the truck pretty much always runs on the number, and he is freaking killer on the tree. In his third round of eliminations, he ended up breaking out, racing the other guy that was also broke out. The other guy was worse, so it pushed him through. So his truck normally never runs in the 60s. It's always a 670 truck. So I knew that after we had a rain shower come in that night, it had cooled off some. His truck was running a little fast. And so my hopes were if I could just cut a good tree, maybe he would break out against me and would give me the win. So we went into the final race and something unprecedented happened. Ended up, I cut a killer tree and his was kind of slow. It's not normal for Brent to cut that bad of a light. It wasn't a terrible light compared to a lot of people by any means, but he did a 0.103 reaction time and I did a 0.03 reaction time. So he definitely out 60 footed me. He got ahead of me a bit. I was able to come back around him and he hit the brakes at the other end. And then I started riding the brakes. We both crossed the line with a lot less mile an hour than normal. And he went a 674 to my 674. And he went a 674 to my 674. He was at 96 miles an hour and I was down around 100. So as I said, both of us were on the brakes and we both freaking right there, 674. So it was a tight race and it was really fun. I hate that I had to beat out my buddy Brent there in the finals, or that for that matter, we had to race each other to begin with. But if you got to race your buddy, doing it in the finals is the best way to do it. I always love racing with those guys. We all always have a good time when we go to the events. So congratulations to him on a good night. And unfortunately, I'm the one that brought home the trophy. But anyways, I was excited about that. The trophies are freaking dope. I'll throw a picture of it in here. Chris and Buddy always kill it with the trophies. It's by far the coolest trophies you will ever see at a race. You know, they've had everything from trophies that had a turbo compressor housing with your first and second place on it. They had the one that I won last year was like a wood engraving with the Diesel Truck Wars logo. This year was the big metal sign. So anyways, it was really neat. Add that to the collection, and I don't know, we might start getting a display board out here, something to start putting some of that stuff on. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's how the dad bod did. and how the rest of the crew did. Like I said, congratulations to all the winners. So another neat thing to note is that in 670, of course, I won Singles Elite. Austin Gum was able to pull out the win. And then in Outlaw, Chris Gelbaugh pulled out the win. And in those three classes, all three of the trucks were running the Melton Pistons bumper bracket kits. So that was really cool. If only one of the Cummins guys could have pulled it out in 770, it would have pretty much been a clean sweep. But regardless, that was really neat thing to see, and we were happy with that. But anyways, like I said earlier, the dad bod, we had to do some things different. You know, people talk about how consistent my truck always is. People always tell me that, and I tell them not to jinx me. Truck Wars, luckily, I was finally able to figure the truck out somewhere around the second or third round of eliminations. Finally was happy with it. It was the first time I've been throwing a curveball of that much heat and humidity affecting the truck that bad. I've had it not run on the number before, but never as bad as it did that day. So it was definitely a learning curve, and it's something I'll definitely have in mind going forward, and something you guys may be able to, you know, learn something from and pay attention to with your own trucks. Luckily, the way the truck is set up, like I said, I can run on Tune 3, and you know, if I'm going too fast or too slow, I can just adjust the tune a little bit and adjust the way I drive the truck to try to make up the differences. But anyways, that's going to pretty much wrap us up for the Truck Wars recap. Like I said, I know this is a little bit wordy, but there was a lot of information to cover. We were busy all day. Huge shout out to everybody that sent me videos, especially Michael Doyle up at KDD. He got a ton of videos for me, and that's how I was able to get some footage together, because between the fact of the trucks breaking that were with us, the guys struggling, we were trying to help out, helping people in staging lanes, racing double classes myself, and then having family out there, and in the free time just trying to stay cool, I didn't get hardly any videos myself. So huge shout out to those guys that hooked us up. It really made it nice to be able to get some footage for you guys still without having to be busy the whole entire day. So anyways, like I said, sorry for the lengthy video. That pretty much sums us up here. We will have a recap video coming up in the next couple of days for the King of the Streets event that we went to. Kind of talk about Junkyard Box a little bit. I know you guys have been asking about that some. So we'll go over some of that. And then here in the next week or so, we're hoping to be wrapping up Brandon's truck, and we'll get some footage on it. And then we've got another cool project coming in too. So anyways, thank you guys for watching as always. I appreciate you guys' support, and we will see y'all next time.